Hello, hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. And welcome to the Super Bowl Innovation Summit.
That's right.
Presented by the Bay Area Host Committee and
YouTube and the NFL.
In partnership with the NFL.
We are so pumped to be here with you. I'm Ben Gilbert.
I'm David Rosenthal.
And we are your hosts for today.
Indeed we are.
For those of you who haven't listened to Acquired, we tell the stories of the world's greatest companies. And usually this takes the form of a 4-hour-long narrative podcast episode that we release every month or two after doing hundreds of hours of deep research and a lot of editing and a lot of post-production and a lot of retakes. And today, we're doing none of that. We have conversations with leaders from 3 very important companies live with you right here on stage.
Yes, and we could not be more thrilled to be hosting the NFL's first Innovation Summit here with the Bay Area Host Committee in San Francisco, in the heart of the tech industry in Silicon Valley. I mean, it's almost like a redundant statement to say that innovation runs deep here, but just to set some context for the day, I asked our friend Claude, the AI from a little company up the street called Anthropic, what percentage of the market cap in the S&P 500 is in companies founded either here or in our sort of spiritual cousins up north where Ben is from in Seattle.
Which counts, especially this weekend. I mean, go Hawks.
Go Hawks, go Hawks. I'll say go Hawks today, as a Niners fan. It's 49%. Half of the value of the global economy was founded in these 2 cities here on the west coast of the United States. And that doesn't even count the trillions of dollars of private company market cap in companies like OpenAI or Anthropic or Stripe, et cetera.
Yep. So if you're going to host a Super Bowl here in Silicon Valley, you got to be ready to talk about innovation.
Yes. And the NFL, of course, has always embraced innovation as well. We covered it well on our episode going back to Pete Rozelle and television, NFL Films, NFL Enterprises, which were brilliant, far ahead of their time for sports leagues.
Monday Night Football, all the production.
Everything. And now partnering with some of the biggest technology companies in the world, like Google and YouTube.
Yep. And speaking of YouTube, we are excited to welcome our first guest. Under his leadership, YouTube has become the most watched video platform on the planet. They have paid out over $100 billion to creators in the last 5 years alone, and they now have over 2.7 billion active users worldwide. Please join us in welcoming Neal Mohan, CEO of YouTube. Well, there are, we're creators, a million things that we would love to ask you about.
For sure, yes. We can get into your channel diagnostics here.
Great.
30 straight minutes of diagnosing everything.
Yeah. Sadly, our YouTube channel is not that dynamic because we actually just made a big upgrade. We used to just post the audio with our album art.
Yeah.
Now we have AI-generated words, subtitles.
We're innovative.
We're innovative. Yeah.
All right, so the coolest thing that I thought we could do here in our half hour together would be to talk with this audience about the anatomy of creating an NFL broadcast and delivering it to tens of millions of fans around the world. So we've got some pictures that we wanted to show. So it was the Chargers-Chiefs game in week 1.
In Sao Paulo. Yeah.
YouTube was the exclusive broadcast partner of this game. I remember tuning in and seeing the YouTube logo on the MIDI scoreboard and the full graphics package and the involvement from creators. Karol G played at halftime. The whole thing, it almost felt like I was looking in sort of a bizarro world universe, but at the same time, of course, the NFL and YouTube are working together. YouTube's scope is astonishing these days. Can you tell us, go back to the earliest moment of this game coming together, how did the planning begin?
Yeah, well, the earliest moment was really a phone call with Roger and I. We had it way back early in the year about this being a potential idea. And again, back to innovation in the NFL, the NFL has always been at the cutting edge of that in terms of what would it be like if for the first time ever you took a live NFL game and put it in front of a paywall outside of the paid TV ecosystem on a platform where 2 billion people come to every single day and make it accessible to the entire world. And that was the vision. And so it really started months in advance, but
only months.
Yeah. This is, I love it,
yes.
This is the spirit of
And
Silicon Valley. Months is a long time.
Yes, it's very Silicon Valley, yes. We had a 100-day sprint really to get this up and running. There were dozens and dozens of people across YouTube, an amazing team that pulled it off from an idea to what you see, what everybody saw, the 20 million, kind of AMA audience that tuned into it saw. But really, the way I think about it is it started years and years before, because, the vast majority of what it takes to actually deliver that already existed at YouTube, right? We are a platform where, like I said, 2 billion people come every single day, billions of hours of engagement every single, day, 500 hours of content uploaded every single day, live streams, enormous live streams already happening. And so that infrastructure was already there. So it was really building on the shoulders of that. But nevertheless, it took moving 100,000 pounds of equipment down to Sao Paulo. Because we wanted to make it so that from the glass, from the cameras in the game down in Sao Paulo to the control center that in Rock Center, because NBC were our production partners here, that was happening in 3 to 5 seconds. So incredible latency focus. We wanted to feel.
Where was the Rock Center? Was it in San Bruno?
In Rockefeller Center in New York City. And then we had details down to the fact that there was many layers of redundancy. The absolute last layer of redundancy was a guy with a backpack and a camera that would literally capture live footage if everything else in the world went down. And just basically try to stream it from his phone.
Innovative new broadcast angle from YouTube.
That's very like.
So we really tried to cover all the bases. But as you saw, we wanted it to feel very, very YouTube-y, right? So you saw the creator integrations, you saw the Mr. Beast integration, you saw the Kay Adams-driven pregame show. So we really wanted to make it feel like it was an only at YouTube NFL type experience.
Yeah, can you speak a little bit more to the sort of creators as broadcasters in this game? Like, how did you leverage the creators that were involved using their channels, live streaming alternate versions?
Yeah, what I would say about that, again, just in terms of context, what's important about that is every sports league, including the NFL, is, as Roger just said, not resting on their laurels, right? Like thinking about how they reach the next generation of fan. And that's obviously where YouTube comes in. We're a platform where there's young people every single day. We are also one of the largest sports platforms in the world where there's billions of hours of sports content being consumed every year. And so creators and using creators as a means to tell the story is very natural, and the NFL and YouTube had been doing this for years before, not just through our Sunday Ticket partnership, but the NFL channel on YouTube has been, a couple decades now. But in this particular case, and you can see it in this picture, the pregame show was Kay Adams. She's got a YouTube channel. Destroying was part of it. Haley Khalil were our sideline reporters. We had Marquez Brownlee and Michelle Carre do content leading up to the game as part of it, and then you saw that sort of Mr. Beast kind of like mini game show that he had where he was launching people from cannons. And, my favorite thing was I was just talking to some friends, and it was a father and the son, and like the father didn't understand why a guy was coming out of a cannon at an NFL game, and the son was like, why wouldn't that be the way that you actually watch it?
The son didn't understand why an NFL game was happening around Jimmy shooting a man out of a cannon.
But that's precisely it, right? Like the expectation, especially the Gen Z expectation, is that all of that sort of authentic, creator-driven creativity, live game, the coverage around the game, the podcast, all of that should live seamlessly in the way that they experience the sport.
Yep.
And that's really what we try to lean into with this game, but really throughout the course of the season working with the NFL.
So there's a lot of sports is behind paywalls. This game was in front of the paywall for everyone globally, not any market specific thing, just free, period. How did that decision with the NFL come to be, and what's sort of the philosophy behind it?
I mean, the philosophy is really the core YouTube philosophy, which is where YouTube started. It's in our mission statement: give everyone a voice and show them the world, which is, it's the reason why 2 billion people come to it every single day. And fundamental in that mission is accessibility and broad accessibility. You take our creators, we're talking about, Mr. Beast, and, so Jimmy has an audience here in the US, but he has a much, much larger global audience, and that's obviously all through the power of YouTube. I always describe a lot of what we do at YouTube as the world's most efficient way of connecting a creative idea with their audience, no matter where they are in the world. And so that was always going to be part of this vision with the NFL around this game, and really, frankly, how we think about working with the NFL and other leagues as well. But the other unique aspect of this is that probably lots of people here in the audience watched it on YouTube, probably on their television sets, but lots of people probably also watched it on YouTube TV. And I think the fact that we had both of those capabilities in terms of what your preference was, in terms of how you access your favorite sports, lent itself to ultimately those very large numbers that we saw in terms of reach and viewership.
I'm curious for you guys, for YouTube internally, how did you think about the business case for doing this? Obviously, it was a huge investment for the rights, for the operations, everything you just described about this complexity, compared to, say, your relationship with Mr. Beast, where he does all the production, he uploads, and it's just there on...
You split the ad revenue.
Yeah, you split the ad revenue. It's just there on YouTube. This is a major, major new undertaking for you. What was the business case? Was it like, hey, we think we're actually going to sell enough advertising that we're going to be profitable on this? Or was it YouTube TV subscriptions increasing? Was it global brand reach?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I think at least the thought process that I went through, I think is a little bit different than maybe how other people might think about it, which is, for us, it is the North Star, the most fundamental thing is really about super serving our viewers, all of you, everybody who's on YouTube every single day. And as I said, there are hundreds of millions of sports fans on YouTube already. And so the lens is always through what type of engagement, what type of content do they want? And obviously, the premier version of that is a live NFL game. So it was really about that lens. And so it wasn't necessarily about, traffic growth or watch time growth or any of those things, because that's already on YouTube. It's really about how do we continue to bring the best type of content, everything from 15-second short to 15-minute VOD to a 4-hour podcast to a 3-hour NFL game.
Video.
All of that should live on YouTube, and that was the vision. Of course, we want to make sound business decision, and our advertisers and brands who we work with every single day were on board literally from day one. It was a big part of our upfront brandcast. Where we talked about it. Roger was on stage with me talking about this, and so there was obviously an advertising-driven monetization model associated with it. But first and foremost, it was about thinking about the NFL the same way that I think about you, as I think about Jimmy, which is you all are creators. We're building the stage. We want to make you successful on YouTube, and that was the lens through which we looked at this game.
So if I'm the NFL and I'm thinking about my future opportunity, we just did this big deep dive on the whole strategy of the NFL, and it's the best sports business in the world. It's largely in America, and the two big growth opportunities, if you sort of saturated the adult American market, especially male and increasingly female, is Gen Z and international. YouTube has Gen Z and international. Can you talk a little bit about sort of how that happened for YouTube and what that sort of partnership looks like?
Yeah, I mean, look, we are, as you point out, we are a global platform. The vast majority of our audience and engagement is outside of the US and North America. Our largest countries are countries like India and Indonesia and Brazil and, all over the world where there are very large and fast-growing internet populations. And so that is core to, I think, something that made us attractive to the NFL, not just around this game, but really our broader partnership. But it was really turbocharged by this game, and as you saw, a fair amount of audience for this game was outside the U.S. when you look at the Nielsen breakout numbers. And this game worked really well from a U.S. time zone standpoint, roughly around 5 p.m. Here, Pacific, 8 p.m. East Coast time, so it worked really well from that standpoint. But it also had a big international audience, really, regardless of the time zone, and so that global aspect proved out. But everything that I talked about in terms of what Gen Z expects in terms of all of their favorite creators, to their favorite podcasters, to their favorite live streamers, iShow, Speed, etc., to their favorite sports. They expect it all in one place when they turn on the television. Often they're turning on YouTube, and they expect that content to all be there.
Yeah, this is one of the, just among the many crazy things that we discovered about Google when we did our big Google series last summer, is how much of YouTube is happening on TVs now. To me, I mean, I'm like we're old now, which is funny. YouTube is like my phone in bed.
And before that, I thought of YouTube as a website.
Yeah, right. It was where you watched Lazy Sunday.
Right.
Quasi-legally at the time. What is television at YouTube today? Walk us through everything from YouTube TV to watch time on actual television devices, et cetera.
Yeah, the thing I'd say about TV is that it feels like an overnight success. Like all of a sudden the world has realized that YouTube is on television sets, but it's been many years in the making. I remember a meeting, a product review at YouTube well before COVID, and we were seeing kind of these sort of green shoots of the fact that, oh wow, people are watching their favorite YouTubers, but they're watching it on their television screens. And back then it was not trivial to actually get the app on your TVs, even on smart TVs, and get it up and running, but lots of people were starting to do that.
There weren't like buttons on remotes yet that had YouTube.
Absolutely, exactly, yeah, and it wasn't pre-installed in many cases. And so since that moment, we really started investing in our television experience, and that, sparing you all the technical details, but the heterogeneity of the kind of the OEM, or the manufacturing market around TVs is just extremely diverse, right? It's all over the world, high-end TVs, low-end TVs, et cetera. So to create a uniform, very high-quality YouTube experience on televisions is a very big technical undertaking. We did that through, kind of innovating all the way down to the browser layer to really make that happen in a very seamless way. But then leaning into lots of aspects of the TV screen, like the cinematic aspect, the big picture aspect, the lean back aspect.
But then theater mode launched
right around
the same
that
time. Yeah.
And then bringing all the interactivity over time that you expect from YouTube when you open up your mobile phone or the desktop back in the day, slowly to the television screen, oftentimes through voice, but through your remote as well. And so that's been the journey, and you fast forward to today, in the US, over 50% of our watch time engagement comes through the big screen. Increasingly, especially young audiences, when they're turning on their TVs, they're turning on YouTube. And so it remains all over the world our fastest growing surface. Like YouTube is growing fastest on television screens.
This is such a sort of flip to the common narrative of YouTube. I mean, 5 years ago, I think we were all talking about how Gen Z doesn't watch TV, they are only watching YouTube on their phones, and they're all sitting around the living room alone watching on small screens, and everybody's having a personalized experience. To the narrative now being, oh, it's YouTube, but it's actually the thing that's replaced what they're watching on TV is it's very different than I think how we all thought about YouTube.
Yeah, I think the thing that sort of made it, at least in the industry, sort of front and center was when Nielsen started to report on, kind of overall streaming numbers and kind of linear and streaming together. And then all of a sudden people saw that YouTube was the #1 streamer. And then I think the mental model started to change for people, which is it's not just this thing that you open up on your phones, but it's when you turn on the TV, you're turning on YouTube. And I think that's when it became sort of more in the consciousness. But I think, obviously our creators understood this. They were seeing it in their own data. But advertisers and brands were also noticing that, and that big screen is a great canvas for brands to work not just with creators like yourselves, but also with the NFL.
Yeah, I gotta imagine for your business, being able to say to advertisers like, hey, you're gonna take over big screen, same as you do as a 30-second spot on regular television, instead of somebody on their phone who might look away during an ad break, was huge.
Yeah, I think what I would say on that too is everything you said is true, but the thing that I think makes it really attractive ultimately to brands is the format is one aspect of it, but more importantly, it's the connectivity between the audience and the creators. That is the magic of YouTube, which is this sort of authenticity that we all as fans experience when we're engaging with our favorite creators. And the reason why that works incredibly well for advertisers and brands is that it's not the typical sort of like, all content's created equal, sort of, kind of swiping away or changing the channel kind of a thing. It is a much more deep engagement. And that, of course, delivers real ROI and performance to brands as well.
I'm gonna go off script for a minute. So this question sort of occurs to me. If you pitched me 10, 15 years ago and they said there's two paths that the world could go. One is highly curated content, very expensively made from very few trusted parties, but it's so good that that probably will be where all the attention goes. Or anyone can upload anything, and let's just see what happens. Which is gonna win? Which is gonna be the number one streamer in the world? Lots of companies are trying this highly curated approach. You're trying this, everybody can upload anything they want and we'll see. When did you start to realize this is actually the key to scale, and the whole narrative of, well, there's just low quality content on YouTube and it's not Hollywood quality, that was kind of a farce?
What I would say about that is, that was I've been at YouTube a very long time, as you guys know. That was a narrative that I would hear maybe 10 years ago. To your point, the fact that it's sort of evolved. And I would hear it over and over. Oh, well, YouTube is it's cat videos or what have you, dogs on skateboards kind of a thing. And not that there's anything wrong with that, and there's a lot of that content that lots of people watch.
I mean, actually,
but,
we spent probably a good hour in our Google series talking about how cat videos created AI. It was the cat paper at Google was the beginning led to ChatGPT directly. So, hey, let's not knock cat videos.
That's why you guys are creative geniuses. You connect those dots. But what I would say is the premise behind that, I think, is actually the thing that proved to be false, which is just because you have an open platform and you've sort of created this stage that the creators are sitting on, doesn't say anything about the quality of that content or even more importantly, how that content speaks to audiences. And I think that's the most important thing, and that's the key insight, which is today, a creator like you guys can upload to YouTube. And the algorithm connects it with the audience and what have you. But I would put what you guys do up against any quote unquote highly produced production any day of the week. I would do the same thing with, Mark Rober or Michelle Carre or Kay Adams, and I can go on and on and on. If you go down to Burbank today, right next to the big sort of, kind of traditional Hollywood studios, you will see creator-led studios popping up. 10,000, 15,000 square foot full-on studios, Alan Chicken Chow, Rhett and Link, Mythical, right? Where they're employing dozens, if not more, people, screenwriters, production studios, etc. And so I think about the fact that we had this platform where anybody could upload as really creating the startup ecosystem of Hollywood, just like we have here in Silicon Valley. And if you think about what creators are today, they are the startups of Hollywood. They are independent studios producing incredibly high quality, engaging content that in many cases brings in much larger audiences than what might have been sort of traditionally produced, 20 years ago.
Totally. We had we lived this last year when we were in New York for our Radio City show. We did a bunch of traditional TV around it for promotion, and some of it was great. We did Squawk Box on CNBC. It was great. It was super. Some of the other stuff we did, we were we could see the budget cuts, that had happened in linear TV. And then we went on the TBPN guys down in LA, and it's exactly what you described. I mean, they had the Thunderdome, right? You know, like it's a very different style, but the equipment, the studio, the location, all the people, their team were all former Hollywood people that are now working in this new medium, and we're like,
Except
whoa, this is night and day.
that the people who are watching were completely obsessed. The level of engagement and our tweets blowing up and the comments in the YouTube stream, it's like
And it's all real time feeding back into, as we're recording there, like they're monitoring comments.
So it's
And that's what I meant. Imagine how that feels.
Yeah.
That is sort of that magic, that connectivity that I'm talking about, which is it's not that, you know, every pixel on a screen is created equal. That sort of, that deep connection, that engaged connection is ultimately the magic.
Yeah. On that front, we would be remiss if, you know, you are part of Google, we didn't ask you about AI and how that is changing YouTube, and you know, eventually let's talk about sports, but let's talk about YouTube. It is a very exciting time.
We went a full 20 minutes without saying the word AI.
You know, we gotta have some diversity in our content here. Yeah.
Look, I talked a little bit about this in the annual letter that I wrote. The way, you know, what I think is interesting about YouTube is, of course, we are part of Google. We work extremely closely with our sister company, Google DeepMind, on a lot of the innovation that you see on YouTube. And, you know, you can open up your apps right now, you hit that plus button, which is how you create content on YouTube, and you will see a gallery of AI-powered tools integrated with VO and Gemini that really make it easy to produce video content on YouTube. So that's on the technology side, but as we've just discussed, you know, for the last, 20, 25 minutes, we are a company that faces the creative industry, creators every single day, not just in the Hollywood sense, but sports, music. We're one of the large music platforms. And so I think we have this sort of unique perch where those two pieces come together, you know, kind of AI-powered technology, innovation, and creativity. And so the lens through which at least I look through everything is, how does AI really enhance and empower human creativity? It is not meant to replace it. I don't think it ever could replace it. Back to this magic connection between creators or podcasters and their audiences on YouTube. That will never get replaced, but are there tools and capabilities that we can develop that make your jobs easier, enable, the next acquired duo to be able to do something that they previously wouldn't have been able to do? And so that's really the lens through which we look at it, and that's how you should expect YouTube to continue to innovate around AI. The other thing that I do think will start to continue to get transformed is the viewer experience, right? Yeah. So, you already see it, hopefully, when you open up the YouTube app, right below the video that you're watching on mobile or on desktop, you'll see an ask button. That is a way for you to go more deeply into the video. And we'll start to show those stats so that you can see how that interaction is actually playing out with your own content as creators. But that, we've seen millions and millions of users engaging with that, and what that has led to is an actual even further sort of connection between what we're watching and the way that we're engaging with it. I was watching, a music video with my daughters, and while we were enjoying the video, I hit that ask button and asked something about, how did she think about that song? Where did the lyrics come from? And it was this sort of magical experience of where we're engaging even more deeply with this artist that, my daughters love, that I was enjoying watching with them. And so those are the ways that you'll see AI innovation actually really play out at YouTube. Sports is another area. Yeah. Imagine a custom, driven by your fantasy team red zone, right? Like that can now potentially get generated when you turn on YouTube or YouTube TV, right? Like those types of ideas.
Or, we were joking in the car on the way over here, like about our respective NFL viewing habits. And, my second screen when I'm watching the NFL is Wikipedia. I'm just like, I want to know all the,
Yeah.
And you were like...
Mine's actually Perplexity.
Yeah.
I'm talking with Arvind later today, but, where did this quarterback go to college again? Was he at multiple colleges? What does his eligibility look like?
But that's not a great experience. Like, it would be much better if it's just integrated right
And
there.
that's what you should expect, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're watching it on, YouTube or YouTube TV. I'm a diehard 49ers fan. I want to be able to see that.
Next year.
Yes. I want to see that regardless of what type of content, what other NFL content that I'm watching, right? Like, so I need to keep tabs on my team. And so you'll see a lot of those types of experiences.
It seems like a giant bucket of AI at YouTube is adding leverage for content creators, whether it's like us or whether it's the NFL making a broadcast. The AI will just enable you to take a small operation and get so much more scale out of it. I mean, we regularly pinch ourselves that we're a 2-person operation with 1 editor and we can reach 1 million people over the internet. AI sort of adds another order of magnitude where there's a lot of stuff we can't do because we're such a lean operation. Shorts are kind of difficult to produce. Transcription takes time. We can't turn
as
it
much
into
as we
long-form
joke
prose.
about it, we can't make video episodes because we make 10,000 cuts and edits per episode. But like, could imagine AI making that possible.
It should make that a lot easier, and not to get into sort of very feature-specific details here, but one of the things we want to do is be able to actually take that 4-hour podcast and without you having to manually do it, produce shorts content that ultimately drives back to that podcast. But if you have fans that just want to engage with that particular episode through shorts, they should be able to do that as well, and it should happen relatively quickly. Ultimately, you get the creative control, but the tool should be able to put its suggestions very, very seamlessly in front of you and have those suggestions be very intelligent suggestions. And so that's what I mean by really empowering the creativity and putting those tools in the hands of creators that I'm very excited about.
All right, so closing question, and I'm not asking you to break any news here, but I'm asking this question philosophically. What is the future of premium content, big IP on YouTube? I mean, we've seen NFL Sunday Ticket, we saw this broadcast. You announced, I believe it was the Oscars are gonna be streamed on YouTube. I mean, this is earth-shattering, the most premium content in the world. What's the strategy and what should we expect going forward?
I mean, I think, again, the fundamental thing is back to, I'll go back to our mission statement. What is it going to take to super serve all of you, the billions of people that come to YouTube every single day? And as I said, increasingly, especially for young people, Gen Z, they expect all of their favorite content, from, like I said, from 15-hour shorts to 15-hour iShowSpeed live streams to 3-hour NFL games and the Oscars, all in one place, seamless. There's no distinction between creator-driven content, kind of quote-unquote sort of premium content in that way. And so that is the lens through which we really look at our investments in this area. And especially with our growth on television, the expectation is all of that is available in a very seamless, integrated way. And so you should expect to see more of that. I think what I'll say is, in terms of the future, I think 2 things are going to be really fundamental trends, not just for our business, but I think generally in the media business. The first we just talked about, which is what are the new types of capabilities, new ways of interactivity, new ways for creators to do things that otherwise might have taken 9 months, now in 9 days through AI. So that's one. And then the last thing, again, that we've spent the last half hour really talking about is the centrality of creators on our platform. And I often get asked this question, which is, who's the most important creator, the most famous creator on YouTube today? And you can take your pick of any of our biggest creators. We've named a lot of them here. But the answer I always give is the most important creator for YouTube is that person who's got a creative idea, who is sitting in their bedroom or their garage today and is hitting that upload button for the very first time on YouTube today. Because mark my words, 5 years from now, they're going to be the next Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast, etc. And that's the magic of YouTube. It is this perpetual engine of creativity and therefore setting culture. And it starts with somebody who has a creative idea, no matter where they are in the world, and the fact that we can connect them with their fans and audience, no matter where they are in the world.
Yeah, it's amazing. We've lived it ourselves. That's a great place to leave it. Neal, thank you so much.
Thank you.